Welcome to the Jersey Oddcast. We don't follow the script. Heck, we don't even have a script. This is the Jersey Oddcast with Joseph F. Berenato, Gabriel J. Donio, and me, Gina Rullo. Let's dive right in. We are in the middle of Small Business Week. National Small Business Week began on May 4th and ends May 10th. It's a time when we celebrate entrepreneurs and small business owners. Having lived in a small town for so many years, we have to say we love our independent businesses.
Absolutely.
Yes, independent business, the backbone of any small town and bigger towns too. But it's great to see a national thing like this. I don't know the whole history of it except to say when I see these things like Small Business Saturday in November and this, I cheer because a lot of small businesses just feel like they're out there on an island and they don't have any support
Yeah.
other than themselves and their customers. I think the people who work there, etc., are by themselves. It's great to see the support. What do you guys think?
Oh, no, I'll agree with that. And also, I like that there's a whole week dedicated to small businesses that aren't necessarily just in retail, because it's felt to me for a long time that Small Business Saturday it comes right after Black Friday. So that's like you're doing a holiday shopping, go visit a small business. Not every small business is in retail. So this encourages patronizing any small business as opposed to a large chain or what have you. And
Yeah,
we
great
often
point.
we often talk about how community minded the town is. And it's because the vast majority, overwhelming majority, I would say, of the businesses in our town, at least, are small businesses. And if this is encouraging us to patronize them more than normal, then I think that's definitely a worthwhile endeavor.
Absolutely. I think one of the nicest things about living in South Jersey, especially where we live, is the lack of chain stores. That we go to these mom and pop shops, that we can find interesting goods. We can go to a privately owned home repair store, like hardware store. We can meet with these people. We're not forced to go to a big box store. We can get some really individual service. And to me, that is what sets apart a small business from a chain business, is that level of care that they give to their customers. And I think we're very fortunate in Hammonton to have that.
And part of that thing that makes it fortunate is everything's a little quicker because the decider is in the building. There's no, oh, I have to go to my DM, meaning district manager. I don't know what to tell you. Usually the owner is there and can make a decision about anything, whether it's somebody coming in for a donation or somebody who wants a certain kind of product and wants it in the store. So it's a lot quicker process when it's the locally owned stores, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
I
definitely
agree with
enhances
that.
customer service, which then perpetuates continued customer engagement.
Absolutely. And we've seen some really amazing small businesses in Hammonton. And yes, some have come and gone. But they're also the people who support all of our town activities, whether it be sponsoring a Little League team, taking a sign out at the Hammonton Swim Club, or putting an ad in the playbook. These businesses are supporting our community in so many other ways where it's harder with a chain store to find, as Gabe said, the district manager to get that approval, to get a check cut. So we're really lucky to have the small businesses that we do in town and how much they support the greater community.
And I do think when I said they're out on an island, I don't want to leave out Main Street Hamilton Chamber, the Hamilton Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, even the town council and the school board. I think it all works in concert, but I do think events like this week really help, as Joe said, all businesses, restaurants, services, retail, get a little bit of a higher profile and a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
So this week, go out, shop, dine, support a small business, and enjoy yourselves. Joe, what do we have going on in ACO last week, or Waterford Township, as they also call it?
As I understand, according to a press release from the Canyon County Prosecutor's Office, on Thursday, May 1st, Waterford Township Police Department was notified of a motor vehicle accident on Jackson Road near the intersection of Waverly in Waterford. There, when the police arrived, they found that a single motor vehicle had gone off the roadway and crashed into a wooded area, And then it was also reported that a passing motorist, unrelated to that accident, was attacked and strangled by the driver of the crashed vehicle. Now, here is the amazing part. Two passersby, according to the release, who were members of the U.S. Army Reserves at Fort Dix, including one who's also a Philadelphia police officer, noticed the assault and intervened. One of these gentlemen used a fire extinguisher to break a window in the car to help remove the suspect. The suspect was identified as, I believe it is pronounced, Rondine McDonald, 45, of Mays Landing, and he was charged with first-degree carjacking, first-degree kidnapping, second-degree aggravated assault, and fourth-degree criminal mischief. The victim, a 59-year-old woman from Lindenwold, was transported to Virtua Voorhees for treatment, where she is reported to be in stable condition. McDonald was transported to Virtua Berlin and was later remanded to the Camden County Correctional Facility pending a detention hearing in Superior Court.
That is the definition of heroic.
Yes.
To go out of your way and see something and then do something about it. I think those guys are commendable for doing it. And the fact that they're military and police, obviously instincts kicked in. That's an amazing story.
It's not only an amazing story of their actions, but also of the timing that they just happened to be driving by. It's just everything all came together, and it's out of this world.
Yeah, it's an odd story, which is why it's made it onto the Oddcast. And
Good one.
Waterford Township is just our neighbor. I guess that would be to the west. I am so geographically challenged.
Northwest, I think.
Our friendly neighbor to the west. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see. And I think I read one report where the victim was like, I knew I couldn't let anything happen. She was hitting the horn, according to the report I read. She said something like, I'm 50-something years old. I have kids. This is not how it's ending, or something to that extent. And I was like, good for her for having the presence of mind, because I don't know that I would have that level of hitting the horn. I don't know if I would just go all internal.
Yeah.
So she brought awareness to her situation. It's just an amazing story all the way around.
Yeah. She helped her own cause.
She did.
And these guys it was just amazing all the way around that they happened to be the people who were happening by and heard it. It's amazing. She's very fortunate.
Yes.
Agreed.
Gabe, if people are looking to locate to Waterford, Hammonton, or anywhere in South Jersey, who should they call?
There's only one place to go, Gina. It's Crowley & Carr Real Estate. If you're looking to buy or sell your home or commercial property in South Jersey, call Phil Carr, owner of Crowley & Carr Real Estate. Crowley & Carr is the best place in town to find the best place in town. Call them at 609-561-0505 or go to Facebook or Instagram.
Thanks, Gabe. Friday, May 16th marks the annual Cruisin MainStreet Classic Car Night. Sponsored by Main Street Hammonton, this event has been happening in downtown for more than 30 years. I think, as they said, it is the 31st annual event. So people bring out their classic cars, they come downtown, they listen to great classical music. And by classical music, I don't mean Vivaldi, music from the 1950s and 60s. Dancers from Paul Morris Dance Explosion perform. There's a bubble gum blowing contest and a hula hoop contest, as well as a contest for the best dressed 1950s costume and more. The stores will be open late. There'll be food, fun, and so much more going on. Gabe, your mom is one of the organizers of this event and has been for a long time.
Yeah. The founding organizer of the event, along with the Cruisin Classics Auto Club, who they do a great job.
Love those.
She has a great line, as she said it over during the years, which is the part that she loves the most about the event is that the downtown where she grew up in, she was famously class of 56, St. Joe High School. And that downtown was where they used to walk around and get their lunch and this sort of thing. Now you're going back almost 70 years, right?
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
She saw it go downhill, and then this event is one of the reasons I think it came back uphill, and a lot of work was done by a lot of people. But she always says her favorite moment is when she looks up at about 5:30, and all the cars are out on the streets in the same spots like they were when she was a kid in high school. And that feeling of being connected to the same town for that long a period of time. She's done this for 30 years. She graduated in 56 and is still connected to it. And she'll be out there herself coordinating things. And I should note that she just came off a very successful, we talked about it here, trolley tour of the history and historical parts of the town. It went over perfectly and she had a great time and everyone on the tour had a great time. But it's not just history. It's just a fun night out, isn't it? It seems like it's the thing that opens the town back up again in the spring, the downtown.
Yeah, it feels like the first night event of the season. I love looking at all the classic cars. I still don't know how I feel about, because in order to be a classic car now, at least according to the state guidelines, it's got to be 25 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know that if that like the cars from when we were in high school, they're not overly classic. Nobody wants to go out up and down Bellevue see a '94 Ford Taurus.
Yeah.
But
Ooh, I had a
you get
94 Ford Taurus at
Yeah.
one point.
Yeah, Gina, you had a white 94 Ford Taurus, didn't you?
I feel seen,
See?
Joe.
It's a classic now. It's a classic.
just saying, especially
But
in
no one
the
wants to see it. Just right.
no,
No.
because
Yeah.
in
It's
in
not
the
as stylish
'90s
as a
you
53
couldn't
Chevy
tell from a
T10.
distance what a Taurus looked like from a Mustang. They were all the same.
No, and the Ford, I think Ford had a Thunderbird that was like, and I've seen that out. I know that car actually has been out. That's from the 80s. And yeah, everyone has their own definition because remember the muscle
Wait,
cars
wait,
big in the 70s and
hmm
60s.
I have something for you guys to think about. Imagine a classic car show of vintage minivans.
Yeah.
Vintage what?
Odysseys,
Minivans. Because if you
That's
think
what I
minivans.
about
thought
it,
you said. Oh, good heavens.
from the 90s and into it, they're 30, 25 years old. You could have them now, theoretically.
That
We were
division would have
growing
to
up,
be sponsored by Chrysler.
oh no, when we were growing up, my friend's mother had an '84 Ford Aerostar,
Right.
so that's a 40-year-old vehicle now, so that qualifies. But good
Yeah.
heavens,
Yeah, that's
they
what I'm
just
saying. Like, what are kids going to think
yeah,
20
I mean
years from now?
they substituted aesthetics and style for economy and efficiency, and I get that, but I feel like we kind of lost something at some point, which is one
Well,
of the reasons why I look forward to Cruisin Main Street every year and twice a year if they can have it in September, because I love seeing when people would ride in style.
It's classy. There's a different way to
good
go.
stuff. Yeah.
Also, on Friday, May 16th, will be the 8th annual Cello Day at Anata Wine Bar. This event is put on by Mama Bella Cello. Allison Britta is the creator and owner. So this is different types of lemon cello, if you will. There's blueberry cello and lemon cello, orange cello, grapefruit cello, espresso cello. Just add all your cellos there. And that'll be happening during the same time as Cruisin Main Street from 5 to 10 p.m. It's a little later. So stop in and see Allison, sample some cellos and other specialty items.
Where is that, Gina?
That's at a Nada Wine Bar.
Yeah.
And I believe
So
also,
right there on the main drag.
Yeah.
yeah,
Bellevue Avenue.
and I believe Menino's Cannoli Express will be having a couple of specialties tied in with Allison's cellos, if you will. I
See,
just saying
they
cello.
usually do, so I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a when you tie in the whole Frankie Avalon Fabian concert, and that's the day before. That's
It's
Day
Cruisin
after.
Main Street and Cello Day
the
are the
day
day
after,
before, and Frankie
and
Avalon's the day
and
after.
then you add some cannoli and some cello, limoncello. That's a theme weekend right there. Your 1950s, your and those singers, and a little bit of Italian flavor. If you're not coming to Hammonton those 2 days, you're missing out.
I'm a little surprised that Allison never commissioned a cellist to play during cello night.
We should
Yeah,
mention
that's
that to
interesting.
her. Hey, Allison, if you're listening, we'd like to see a cello player next year.
Yeah, yeah, and that cello should be yellow.
A yellow cello? Okay,
Yeah, for limoncello.
before we get way too silly, Gabe, who should we see if we need new glasses to admire the classic cars on Cruisin Main Street?
You want to be able to see them all the fins, all the chrome. So you better go to Hamilton Family Eye Care. See Hamilton Family Eye Care for routine and medical eye care for all ages, from glasses to contacts to eye exams and more. Visit Hammonton Family Eye Care at Peachtree Plaza, 80 South Whitehorse Pike in Hammonton. Call 609-567-7479 or go to hammontonfamilyeyecare.com.
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate that. In
You're
other
welcome.
news, there is a petition going around to support and protect the aquifer. And this is in reference to something that's going on in Winslow Township. Winslow Township's mayor and several council members are backing a legal challenge that could weaken protections for one of South Jersey's most vital water sources, the Kirkwood-Cohansey Aquifer. They're citing, as it appears in this lawsuit, with a suit filed by the Clayton Sand Company, which is pushing back against rules set by the Pinelands Commission to safeguard this natural resource. A petition is now circulating to oppose the township's support of the lawsuit and to keep safeguards in place for the aquifer. The next Winslow Township Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 13th at 7 p.m. This meeting will be held at the Winslow Township Municipal Building, located at 125 Route 73. You can learn more about the petition, the lawsuit, and what's happening in Winslow Township at pinelandsalliance.org. This is a follow-up to a discussion I think we had a few weeks ago, guys, right?
Yeah, about the importance of the aquifer.
And about this issue.
Yeah.
Look, it's everybody's decision to whether or not to sign a petition. I'll just make the point again that these resources that we have naturally are finite, and I do think that they deserve to be protected. And I do again think, to me, this matter was settled decades ago
Yeah.
when we said, look, we're going to create the Pinelands Commission. Although I'm not naive, you can always undo anything that's made by government.
Yes.
But I do think certain things like are, if not set in stone, we have to look at it as what's it worth in the long term. That aquifer, 17 trillion gallons, pristine water, seems to me is worth more than one lawsuit.
Absolutely. The
But that's my
aquifer the aquifer provides some of the cleanest water on the East Coast, supplying homes, farms, and businesses across the region. It also feeds critical waterways like the Mulka River and the Great Egg Harbor River. And environmental advocates warn that rolling back these protections could lead to overuse of the aquifer for industrial and commercial purposes, including landscaping for large developments and golf courses. And that would leave communities like ours struggling for clean, affordable water, especially in the face of increasing drought and climate change. So this is the time to act and to protect the Kirkwood-Cohansey Aquifer. And that meeting again is coming up next week.
I don't think I could necessarily add to anything either one of you have said. You fairly well covered it. But if there's one thing that we have seen on national news throughout the last several years around the country is that you don't screw with the water supply.
Fair.
And yeah, and we've had these protections in place since the 70s to protect the water supply. We need water. And we have a resource that not many places on Earth have directly beneath our feet. And these protections are in place for a reason, and they should be honored.
Agreed. In our regular Mount Carmel coverage, since we are getting near the sesquicentennial year of the event, or however you would like to say it, I just love saying sesquicentennial. There are two events coming up.
Can you spell it?
No, not anymore. I don't have to spell things anymore. I get to talk now, not type.
I can spell 150.
There are two.
150.
Yeah.
Sesquicentennial.
There you go.
Sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial. If there was a
As your
spelling
former
bee, Joe
editor,
would
that
have won it.
sounded right.
That's great.
In addition to the May 17th concert being held by the Our Lady of Mount Carmel Society, St. Mary Mount Carmel Parish will be hosting two events themselves this month in support of the 150th Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. On Tuesday, May 13th at 7 p.m. at St. Anthony's Church, Father Stephen Robbins will be speaking about the Carmelite nuns, the Carmelite martyrs of Compiègne. And I apologize if I mispronounced that. And then on Friday, May 30th at 7 p.m. at St. Joseph's Church, the choir of the Basilica will be performing live in concert. This will be a free event, but donations are welcome. What do you guys think about all these fun events that we have coming up?
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to the choir of the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, I believe is the full
Yes.
term. Very much looking forward to that, especially since, as I understand, I was informed by Father Rivera that I had mentioned before that the parish had commissioned a hymn to be written specifically for the parish in honor of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And that was done by a woman named Kathleen Pluth, who also wrote the hymn for the National Eucharistic Revival. So she's well known in the hymn community. And the music for the hymn was composed by Frank LaRocca, a well-known Catholic composer, and that is going to make its debut at the concert on May 30th. So that'll be something commissioned by the parish making its debut there. So that's doubly exciting on top of whatever beautiful music the choir provides. So
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate to get this level of talent coming through Hammonton and having people have an opportunity to literally, you could walk to this kind of concert if you live in that neighborhood.
yeah,
You can drive across town and see it. I would take advantage of it if I were the residents here because it's something you're not going to see very often,
Yeah.
especially what Joe just cited. There's a lot of unique things that are going to happen that night
yeah.
musically. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And insofar as the Divina, if I'm not mistaken, Father Robbins was, I don't rem, I, the term escapes me, novitiate was what, or seminarian. He was a seminarian here before he was ordained, was he not?
I
He might
think you're
be.
right about that. I think you're right about that. So that's another sort of fun tie-in
Yeah.
to the whole event. When was that? A little.
When he was a seminarian, he
Oh,
was ordained maybe 3, 4 years ago. I remember him walking in a couple of the processions and then he was ordained after that. So
right.
I want to say he's within 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
Sounds about right.
And again, it's just one more way that these things are woven into the culture and into the. This event is going to be huge as it gets closer. We see these sort of things coming up, and this is May 30th, right? The concert. To me, it just tells you it's an exciting time to be in Hammonton because the whole area is going to benefit from a lot of this stuff. Should be fun all the way through July.
Yeah.
And at the Oddcast, we're doing our part to help support the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Joe?
Yes, absolutely. We have merchandise such as t-shirts. We
Looking
have
good.
we have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hats, and they are all accessible through the link that Gina will throw up because she's fantastic with it. Put like up on a screen or under
Yeah,
the
now
post. I don't
throw up,
mean like yeah.
not
Um
regurgitate.
I never
yeah.
mind.
But all of the profits through July 1st will be donated to support the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Let's
T-shirt,
ride, drink your
yeah, buy a
coffee. Yeah.
mug, buy 20 of them, outfit your house, and know that all of the profits are going to a fantastic cause.
And Joe showed the shirt. If you're listening right now, you didn't see it. It's we have them in green, we have them in black, we have mugs as well. In Gina, the colors are
The
also
mugs are black.
they're black, and then there's pretty cool hats.
They're trucker
You know, if you
style
like the
with,
trucker hat,
Yep.
yeah, black and green.
Yeah,
We're
they're
getting there.
fun. It's all
yeah,
fun.
pick it up. Definitely good stuff, and for a good cause.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At this time, we'd like to welcome the newest advertiser to the Jersey Oddcast, Gabriel.
Marinella Funeral Home has been serving the community since 1962 and has been family owned and operated for 3 generations. Marinella Funeral Home provides individually designed cremation, burial, and pre planned funeral services to meet the needs of each family. Ask them about how pre planning provides true peace of mind to your family. Contact the Marinella Funeral Home, located at 102 North 3rd Street in Hammonton, at 609 561 1311.
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate that. Lately, on social media, the Atlantic County Economic Alliance has been promoting its business engagement services. They ask, are you part of Atlantic County's thriving business community? Do you face challenges like labor shortages, supply chain disruptions, or keeping up with regulations? And they say they're here to help. They want to work with small businesses in and around South Jersey, especially specifically Atlantic County. They provide expert insights, no cost support, and more. For more information about the Atlantic County Economic Alliance, also known as the ACEA, please visit aceanj.com. Gabe, you remember working with them before. We covered them when we had the newspaper, correct?
Yes, and the ACEA countywide does attempt to try and step in support of economic development initiatives wherever they can. I think they're effective in that, and they have been for a long time. In keeping with what we said earlier about small business, and this isn't just about small business with the ACEA, but again, these are the tools we have. We layer over being a business owner. You have Main Street if you're downtown. You have the Greater Hammonton Chamber of Commerce throughout town. If you're in Hammonton, you have chambers in all these communities that have them, and then you have organizations like the ACEA. There's a lot of tools in the toolbox if you want to use them. So I think that if we look at it for support, it's great to have it.
Yeah. I'm not overly familiar with the body itself. I do know that I covered them periodically when they would help in different segments, as I remember. But anytime that you have a resource that can bolster, that can help, especially when you're dealing with issues. I noticed one of the things they mentioned was, are you having issues with labor shortages and supply chains? If they have resources to help businesses, fantastic. If they're there, avail yourselves of them.
Agreed. Thank you, Joe. In other news, Atlantic County Prosecutor William Reynolds announced last week that Atlantic County has achieved the highest pretrial detention rate in the state of New Jersey, according to the recently released criminal justice reform statistics for 2024. Atlantic County detained 46.1% of eligible defendants at the initial release decision stage, more than double the statewide average detention rate of 21.1%. This marks the highest percentage among all 21 counties in New Jersey, according to a release on the prosecutor's website. Prosecutor Reynolds, in the release, emphasized that this accomplishment reflects the county's strong commitment to public safety and the responsible use of prosecutorial discretion under New Jersey's bail reform. And he's quoted as saying, "These results show that Atlantic County is leading the way in protecting our communities. We are making sure that individuals who pose a significant risk are being appropriately detained while balancing the rights of the accused. Our goal has always been, and will continue to be, ensuring a safer Atlantic County for all residents," Reynolds said in the release. Also in the press release from the prosecutor's office, in 2024, Atlantic County prosecutors filed detention motions in 77.7% of cases involving defendants charged on a warrant, compared to the state average of 42.8%. Furthermore, when those motions were litigated, judges granted detention in 60.8% of Atlantic County cases. The criminal justice reform data released by the New Jersey judiciary provides insight into how counties are handling pretrial release decisions based under the statewide 2017 bail reform, which replaced monetary bail with a risk-based system emphasizing public safety and court appearance rates. So I just thought this was interesting news because having covered crime for so many years in Hammonton, we saw the change that happened when bail reform went into place. So I just like interesting statistics, and this fit the bill of interesting statistics.
Yeah, especially when, at the very least, and just as a general rule to everyone out there listening, stay out of the comments section on the internet. Let's just good general rule of thumb, never go in the comments. But if you read the comments about various crimes that are reported, it doesn't seem like very many citizens in New Jersey are overly enamored with bail reform and the amount of people who are not held until trial. And I am not getting into the benefits or the detriments of bail reform, but I will say, at least based on this statistic, this is twice the state average. Good on our prosecutors. And I also appreciated that the prosecutor noted, made sure to say that they're making sure that individuals who pose a significant risk are being appropriately detained while balancing the rights of the accused. And I think that is a very important distinction to make and a very important point to make, in that under our system, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And I think it's very responsible of the prosecutor to note that while releasing the detention rates.
Yeah, it's responsible, and at the same time, they're doing what they have to do in a way that the rest of the state apparently is not. And I think that the balance is there in their minds. They, I think, understand that's why this release was put out. They're proud of these numbers and they want
Yeah.
people to know this is what we're doing. But they also want, and you make a great point, Joe, which is that we're not doing this without keeping in mind what you said, that the people are innocent until proven guilty. But by the same time, token, at some point, this pendulum, I think, is going to swing the other way. And this release seems to point toward that a little bit, meaning bail reform and the thought behind bail reform a little bit has to be,
Yeah.
I think, more than tweaked a little bit.
Gabe, after listening to this podcast, people might be a little hungry. Where should they go to get some of the best groceries in South Jersey?
The place to go is Bagliani's Market. At Bagliani's Market, they always say, we treat our customers like family with a variety of custom cut meats, farm fresh produce, delicious cheeses, a full deli, and more. Bagliani's Market has something for everyone. They are famous for their wide variety of authentic Italian specialty products. Try their Italian bread and rolls, prepared foods, and homemade pasta. Follow their social media for weekly loyalty reward promos. Bagliani's Market is located at 417 12th Street in Hammonton. Call 609 561 0693 or visit Facebook and Instagram for more information.
Thanks, Gabe. So I came across something the other day and it gave me pause. And I'm just going to read this press release. This is from PR Newswire, is where I sourced it from. And the headline was New Jersey School District deploys proactive security solution to protect students and staff against gun related violence. Zero Eyes, the creators of the first AI based gun detection video analytics platform to earn the full U.S. Department of Homeland Security Safety Act designation, announced that its gun detection and intelligent situational awareness solution has been deployed by the Hammonton School District in Hammonton, New Jersey. This deployment and other measures aim to proactively protect students, faculty, and staff. The district offers a wide variety of academic, extracurricular, and athletic programs. It is committed to initiatives that enhance safety and learning. The district already has a robust security program featuring armed police officers in every building and a comprehensive surveillance system. Then there's a quote from Superintendent Thomas Ramsey. While presently we are not aware of any specific threat, we are always dedicated to improving our secure learning environment for our community, he said. As a former high school principal with 15 years of experience and now a superintendent, I have seen many districts put their trust in Zero Eyes. We're excited to follow suit and introduce this additional layer of protection. I don't know. So there's like the whole, I love the idea of the technology. You know me, I love tech. But then the other side of me is this is a little too big brothery. And do we need this? And then if we don't have it, will I regret saying that? Is it fear mongering? Like, I just don't know how I feel about this.
I think the issue, a little bit, is I don't want to go into if it's a civil liberties issue too much, but I will say we just got done saying innocent until proven guilty. This sounds like guilty until proven innocent to me, in the sense that you're putting this thing in, and the assumption is something may happen, so we want to be prepared for it. In some cases, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just wonder, a this had to come out of a committee somewhere of the school board and had to be discussed. I haven't been obviously attending school board meetings, I don't know if there was a lot discussed publicly about it or not, but this release clearly says it's been purchased. Is that right? So
Yeah.
it's going to be implemented.
Purchase, I think it says it's been deployed.
That's
Obviously,
reasonable.
they had no problem discussing that we have armed police in
Yeah.
the buildings, and I think that's a known thing that we have SROs in the building. So there's no secret there. I don't know how much it costs. Do you?
It doesn't say.
The school board has no problem holding meetings to discuss this or to discuss our future vision. Okay, you're getting an artificial intelligence security system to scan all of the students, all of the faculty, all the visitors to see if they're carrying firearms. Shouldn't that have been discussed somewhere? Shouldn't, the
We don't know
questions
that it
concern?
wasn't. We don't know that it wasn't. Like before we say that, I
Yeah.
haven't been in the meetings. Have you? I just
No, I
No.
I
so
have
before we
not,
say
but
it
I
hasn't been discussed.
like in a special, hey, this is what we're, because for me that's a big deal.
A more
It's it,
um
public
it is
way
a
of
big deal.
discussing it.
It
yeah,
is a big deal.
exactly.
It's
Far
I'll
more
say it this
public
way:
whether or not we're going to reseed a field.
it's
Let's
definitely been
bring attention
undercover.
to this.
That, in my view, I don't know that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
been
and
anywhere much.
I would have loved to have seen it from the school district itself, saying, "Hey, we're doing this. Let's talk about it." Maybe there is security concerns and when it comes to protecting people. The Secret Service doesn't really tell you what they're doing. They just do it. It's their job. And I
Yeah,
learned
but
that from the West Wing. But
but you're
no.
using when you are using government funds. Okay, there's a thing in police circles about we don't divulge the movements of the force. I get it,
Yeah.
but in this case, you're contracting to someone, and they're how much was it? What's involved with it? On Joe's point, where's the discussion and where's the sort of public portion of asking questions about this? Because it seems like, from what you just read, a fairly significant surveillance
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
purchased. This isn't a traffic light on the stage at the elementary school that we laughed about a couple weeks ago. This
No.
is this is you're surveilling the entire school district.
Yeah, and at least if I read the release correctly, it integrates into existing digital security cameras. I don't know if this was simply a software purchase, if this is additional equipment, because the release was very non-specific about it. But I don't know. It just, and maybe I just hate the fact that we live in a world where this is even being discussed and
Yeah.
then purchased. Maybe that's where it's coming from. I have all kinds of issues with AI, but at the end of the day, I hate that we even think we might need this. And I think that's where I'm at.
And and to dovetail off of that, Joe, there was a time where I felt that way too, and maybe I haven't completely moved on from that time about officers in the schools, because certainly when we were in the schools, there were not armed officers in the schools. But then
Oh, no.
the world shifted somewhat, and there was a reaction to that. There also weren't vestibules like there are now in all the school buildings that you have to come in and basically stay in the vestibule before you can get in. That was not there, not one that was closed off. So
Right.
these things I look at as a push pull. Is there a need, or is someone exploiting the need? Or
My
like what's happening here? And the district, I think, maybe could communicate a little more on this.
and did they go out for bid for this? Was it an RFP and we missed it? I have some of those questions. Also, my other question is, what if they misidentify somebody? What happens then?
Yeah.
And what are the safety measures in place for that? And I'm hoping that we'll learn more and maybe someone from the school board will send us some more information and really willing to talk about it with us. Or maybe someone, if they're working in conjunction with the police department, they'll be willing to talk to us about it. I don't know. But we shall see what happens. And tomorrow's another day.
We'll keep on it.
Yeah. In other news, Hammonton First announced that Kelly Donio will be joining the town council slate. Previously, it was announced that Ryan Nidoba would be running for Hammonton Town Council. He has stepped down, and Kelly Donio, a member of the school board, has taken his spot on the Hammonton First Council slate. The election is in November. Joe, I believe at the last council meeting, they discussed some plans for the White Horse Pike. Can you discuss with us?
Yeah. Potential plans at the
Fair.
top of the meeting. There was I believe the entire town has been designated an area in need of rehabilitation, I believe is what they said. And the area that they're looking at on the White Horse Pike is like in between Brand Jewelers going over to Broadway on the Walmart side of the pike, which currently has, I believe, fields, 2 or 3 homes, and so forth. And it was a presentation given by both Paramount Newco Realty and DR Horton Incorporated. It's a redevelopment presentation to the town council. And basically, what they're proposing is they're working in conjunction. Paramount Newco Realty wants to develop the first half of that rather large parcel. I think they said it was something like 65 acres, if I remember correctly, and turn that into shopping, which has been discussed, or commerce for a more accurate term, which has been discussed before. And some of the businesses that they mentioned who had expressed interest in that site included Aldi, Mavis Tire, Starbucks, and it wasn't quite certain. The packet says Popeyes. They mentioned Chick-fil-A, and at least one council member, Sam Rodeo, requested on the record that if they're going to bring a chicken joint in there, that they go with Raising Cane's because he's a fan of them. And they said that they would look into that. And then behind the commerce is where DR Horton is looking to put in just an extraordinary number of residential units, some single family, some townhomes, some multifamily units, starting in the, I believe, mid 500,000s, and for the single family units and working down. And they would, of course, comply with whatever, for the multifamily units, whatever the town's requirements and the state's requirements are for low-income housing with that. And the most interesting thing, besides all of that, and that's predicated on whether or not they can get Pineland's approval, whether they can get the proper amount of Pineland's credits, which are going for a prohibitive amount of money these days, particularly for a project that large. But they were also they had consulted with the NJDOT about what to do with that intersection, because if they come with a road coming down, then that would make it a 5-point intersection. And it was DOT's recommendation, actually, that they close off the end of Main Road, so that in order to access Main Road over there, you would have to go up and over and then down, what is that? Plymouth, to come out to Main Road there, because DOT said that area could not support and they would not approve a 5-point intersection. There were several members of council who were concerned about closing that off and how that would impact truck traffic there and so forth. But it at the end of the meeting, council went back into closed session to discuss how to next proceed with the development plan and where it was going from there. There was no action taken, as I understand, when they came out of the council meeting, but they did discuss the entire development plan, which was presented by Sherilyn Walters of Nemat Davidson Goldstein, she's gone before the planning board for ages, so she's well versed in this. But she was there on behalf of the clients. The clients were there and they spoke, and I guess we'll find out what the next steps are as this progresses, whether or not council was in favor of the development, whether they have concerns, questions. But it was certainly interesting.
So here's my concern. Here's what they're doing. They're waving, ooh, here's some fancy chain stores. And we like to talk about those during Small Business Week. Ooh, don't look at our high density housing over here. Fancy chain stores, high density housing. And it's kind of, we don't want you to think about this high density housing that we're looking to put here, what the impact is going to be on our school district.
Interestingly, they did mention that. Excuse me. And I can't speak to the veracity of this because I haven't looked at studies, but apparently, according to them, families are having fewer children than they used to. So the impact to the school, once this project is completed, which should take 3 or 4 years, they figure that once all of the approvals are done, I think they said they could have a shovel in the ground within 30 to 60 days. I don't recall which it was, but they expect the approval process to take a long time. And considering that we don't have as many people moving into town and people are having fewer families, they don't necessarily expect this to put that great of a burden onto the school system. So they did address it. But again, I can't speak to the veracity of that assertion.
I think that's a lovely way of saying nothing for them, in my opinion on that. Here's the thing, how many units of housing did they say? Did they say how many units of housing it would be?
About 100, give or take. That's
Okay,
including
so
single family and multifamily and townhomes.
we'll say on the low end, and how much of it's gonna be low income housing? Affordable
Whatever
housing?
the requirement
Okay.
is by law.
Let's just say 100 units, 2 kids per household,
Hmm.
and that's a fair, you know what I mean, assessment. It's 200 new kids to the district. Let's add in the townhomes on West End Avenue. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, they're
they could
anticipating, I think, another 150, about 120 kids from those units as well. So now you're talking about 320, which was almost our high school. That was half our high school when we were there at the very
so
least.
they really can't say what the impact's gonna be. And
Right.
again, let's tie it back to the thing we were talking about earlier, the aquifer. Again, here we go again. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They want us to focus on the chicken place, Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's. I've never been to Raising Cane's, so I can't speak to it, or whatever else they might put there. Is this the highest and best use for this property? I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if the town really needs that many $500,000 homes.
Yeah.
Like, real estate prices are extraordinary at the moment. And who knows what the market is going to be when they finish these homes? Will they be even higher? Will they be even lower? But you're talking about a lot, and I don't know if that is particularly what the town of Hammonton needs right now.
I don't know. I have so many thoughts. Gabriel?
Area in need of rehabilitation. Did you get a definition on that versus area in need of redevelopment?
I
And
did
I
not
know you
know.
mentioned that the whole town has been classified that. I don't know that's accurate. I'd have to look at and see what that is. Normally, that zoning is somewhat more spot zoning for
Our area in
area
need of
in.
redevelopment is definitely spot zoning. I had never heard area in need of rehabilitation before this meeting.
Okay, I think area rehabilitation has easier path through the council and the necessary boards than an area in need of redevelopment. But it also doesn't come with the bonuses of an area of need of redevelopment, such as a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes, and things
Hmm.
like that. I don't know that an area in need of rehabilitation has the ability to do that.
They
I
had
bring all this
mentioned
up
that
because of National
they had
Housing
mentioned that
Corporation.
for the commerce, they were looking for a pilot plan for the first 5 years.
So I don't, I'd have to see what the distinction and differences are between area in need of rehabilitation versus area in need of redevelopment. For the layman, it just means that the local government is involved in this development and they need to go through the local government because of that zoning, because there are certain advantages to the developer that come from that are granted unto them by the local government. And
So
that's why the town council is involved.
if I can interject, I just did a quick Google search so I could learn a little bit more quickly. An area in need of rehabilitation designation in New Jersey is a mechanism for municipalities to leverage development tools and incentivize improvements in specific areas to promote overall community development and economic growth. So, all the things you guys were just saying. To that, Trenton, New Jersey has been designated an area in need of rehabilitation to address abandoned and vacant properties. Leonia, New Jersey uses an AINR designation to create economic and development opportunities. So again, it's going to give them some benefits to do things like that. And in November 8th, 2024, Mayor of Trenton proposed a resolution to designate the city an area in need of rehabilitation in Trenton. So I guess again, it's to bring in new development. So it could be the whole town is doing that to address
Well,
areas that they
what
would.
said about vacant buildings? So he proffered that, like you said, and said, "Look, we're going to do this overlay for the whole city because we have this problem, which is what the vacant buildings and distressed buildings. This is vacant land, which in rural towns such as ours that becomes the issue, right? Which is, how do we incentivize to develop these vacant acreage properties that we have that are significant, as Joe said, would you say 60 some acres on the front?
So going all the way back, 60 some acres from the Pike back.
I only bring
And
up
then
the distinction between, go ahead, area of redevelopment versus that.
I would
Because
say
of,
an area of rehabilitation, they say on the Triton website, follows the success of similar initiatives in other municipalities across New Jersey, including cities like Newark, Camden, and Battersea, which I don't
so
Oh,
think
great.
Hammonton is anything like those cities.
No,
oh,
but we always seem to find a way to somehow connect ourselves with them in this regard. I'm thinking of National Housing Corporation's Plymouth Place
Yeah.
and on Main Road, not far from where we're talking about. And I'm thinking about the payment in lieu of taxes that was passed for that, if we go back to that era. And that was a field, and
mhm.
now it's 128 units of housing. So things can change. In that case, that housing would not have been built were it not for the vote by the municipal government. And I guess we'll wait and see as this tracks out.
Yeah.
But
And
you know,
according
this isn't like a normal development. Is my
no,
point.
and according to Code Library, which is a website that has all the town codes on it, the governing body approved a resolution on October 26, 2015, following a recommendation from the planning board that the entire town be declared an area in need of rehabilitation as set forth in NJSA 40A 21-1 and specifically NJSA 40A 12A 14. Thus, this chapter encompasses all zoning districts within the town of Hammonton.
Okay. All right.
So we
Then
did it, and it's 10 years ago, which is why we don't remember because it's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah.
But again, it streamlines processes, it allows certain things to move forward. And again, we're being shown the shiny chain stores as a way to deflect from the impact on our community by building that level of that housing density.
And it sounds, based on what Joe said, there's a function of a pilot in the rehabilitation as there is in the area of need of redevelopment. So
Yeah.
there's certain things, but again, that has to be granted by the town, right, Joe? That's not, they are
Yeah.
asking for that.
Yeah, nothing has been granted as of yet. This was a presentation, and then they were discussing it in closed after the meeting. And I'm uncertain as to what the next steps are because they did not delineate at the meeting what the next steps are. So I imagine that was also discussed in closed afterwards.
I will say this, if we're going to bring in this much new housing and new businesses, they will all have one thing in common. They're all going to need insurance. And Gabe, who should these possible new homeowners and businesses call for insurance?
If all these new customers are coming to town, maybe they should get some ideas of what they need in insurance from Diversified Insurance. See Diversified Insurance for all your commercial and personal insurance needs. They are a value added firm. They provide unsurpassed service, consult with you to determine your needs, and offer you a choice of insurance plans and programs. They are a value hunter who can find the best combination of coverage, service, and price. Contact them today at 609 567 7771 or visit their website at diversifiedinsuranceofnj.com.
Thanks, Gabe. So I got into a discussion at work last week and I was a little embarrassed. I didn't know the answer to this question. So I'm going to ask you guys, do you know what your blood type is?
Yes.
Gabe?
Yes, I'm not going to talk about it,
No,
but yeah,
I don't want to talk about it.
yeah,
I
I'm not
have
going
no idea
to
what my
tell
blood
you.
type is.
You really, you should have a card when you
A
donate
card?
blood. When you donate blood, don't they? They used to let you
I
know
For
don't
what your blood
qualify.
type
I
was.
don't qualify to donate blood because I'm a carrier of thalassemia, but so I can't
Oh well,
donate.
geez, that you
did
went
you
way further than me not talking about what blood type I
I
was.
don't care about
Way
that. I
more
mean,
further.
did
it's
you
fine.
ever have surgery? Did
Yes.
you didn't learn then? They didn't ask you then?
No.
Yeah,
So this is really bad, right?
Did
Like I need to
did
yeah,
find.
you need to get
did
that
you
nailed down.
did you go to an actual doctor to have the surgery? Because they always ask that at hospitals, like what your blood
No,
type.
I just found the guy on the side of the street. No, of course I
Uh,
went to a hospital.
I didn't know if you went to
Found
the
the guy in
same
the
guy that gave your
byland.
dad puppies at Jamesway.
Yeah,
Well,
some guy on the side of the road. She
anyway,
says.
If you know your blood type or if you're qualified, there are two upcoming blood drives in Hammonton. On Wednesday, May 14th, the Hammonton Presbyterian Church will be hosting a blood drive. The church is located at 326 Bellevue Avenue. The drive begins at 10 a.m. and ends at 3 p.m. You can register online, redcrossblood.org, to sign up. On May 22nd, a Thursday, Victory Bible Church at 816 South Egg Harbor Road will be hosting their blood drive from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Again, you can register online. This is a great way to give back. I believe for every pint of blood, you can help 3 people. So it's a good time to give back and to make a donation. Gentlemen, will you be going since you know your blood types?
Probably not. But I laud everybody else who's going. Get
Yeah,
out there and give blood. Good for
yeah.
you.
I donated in high school a couple of times. I don't think I've donated blood since, but
Fair.
yeah.
I know neither one of you played, but the Hamilton
That's
Hawks are
fair.
having a summer registration for their summer league. You can learn more information online at hamiltonhawks.org. This is flag football. It runs from June 23rd to August 4th. This is for boys and girls entering grades 1st through 9th. Registration fee is $125. And for the last couple of summers, this event or this camp, or however you want to look at it, has been packed with students from Hammonton. And it's been such a nice way for the Hawks community to stay active with the students, not just a short season like they have in the fall. And it gives them a longer time to work with the kids in Hammonton. Is this
Flag
something you would
football.
sign up for now if you were a kid?
If I was a kid, I would. Flag football has come on strong
Yeah.
because it's perceived as more safe. It's not as high impact. As they said, there's girls, there's boys, there's a lot more reach to this than putting on the pads and putting on the helmet and different things. And nothing against that. I love football, you know that. But I
Yes.
also, as a Boston University graduate and alumni, I've kept an eye on our studies about CTE. And it's, again, we talked earlier today about things change and then you have to adapt. I think the flag football thing has really become an accessible way to play football in a way that's safer for a lot of kids. And that's why I think it's drawn so many kids. And it's fun. How about that? It's a good time.
There's fun is always good.
Yeah.
Fun is always good. Yeah. But to answer your question, if I was a kid, I might want to sign up for this, but it's June 23rd to the beginning of August, and everybody in Hamilton knows what season that is. There would be no playing football for Joe
That's
in
right.
regular
Oh,
season.
Joe would be on the
That's right.
farm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you
I
tell us
thought
about
Joe was talking about lawn darts season. Not lawn darts.
No,
lawn
Farm.
no.
darts are not allowed. Lawn darts are not allowed anymore.
They're way more dangerous than football.
Oh,
Serious.
yeah, they were a
Yeah.
good time.
Okay, let's check in on the community calendar sponsored by Rocco's Townhouse. Gabe?
Rocco's Townhouse prides themselves on being a spot where everyone can meet and eat. Delicious appetizers, entrees, burgers, and more, along with a full bar and plenty of craft beers on tap. Remember, everyone meets at the Townhouse, 21 North 3rd Street in Hammonton. Call them at 609 561 9384 or visit roccostownhouse.com. After the Hamilton High School game night on May 14th, stop by Rocco's Townhouse. Game night and the annual art show begin at 6 p.m. Also of note, on Saturday, May 10th, the 19th annual Shootathon Martial Arts Championships will be held at Hamilton Middle School. There is a $10 spectator fee. Doors open at 9 a.m. Also on May 10th, the 5th annual Spring Craft Show will take place at Egg Harbor Township Community Center, 5045 English Creek Avenue. More than 90 vendors are expected. Don't forget the Mount Carmel Society's spring concert on May 17th. The DJ starts at 5, then the Golden Boys, Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Tony Kono will all start performing at 7:30 p.m. More information on all events can be found online, and that's it, Gina, for the Rocco's Townhouse community calendar.
This Friday is also the prom for Hamilton High School. As we know, I did not go to prom or high school in Hamilton, so I have very fond memories. Although I think they just tore down the building I went to my prom at. I will say this, New York, we do not promenade. We don't have to show off our get-ups to the community, and we just go to the dance. But you guys, tell me about your proms. Did you go to Hammonton proms?
So wait, back up. Let me understand this. The whole dance, the prom comes from promenade, and you took out the whole source of that, and you're just like, go to the dance. Who cares what you
Yeah, we're
wear?
cool.
I hate
Yeah.
to break it to you, Joe, but most places did decades ago.
We do
Now,
things different
Southern
in
New Jersey
Hamilton.
is very Southern
Southern.
New Jersey and has
Yeah,
kept the promenade, or as we say in Hamilton, promenade.
the prom.
Like
Yeah,
lemonade.
absolutely. Yeah, you have a promenade on the promenade,
Right.
and it at least when we were growing up, it wasn't prom. It was the prom. You were going to the prom.
I'm glad you
Yeah,
bring this up. If people of a
Oh my
certain era
god.
like you and me, the prom. But
yeah.
Gina is your age, so I don't understand how she just says prom. But we used to say the prom. We're going to the prom.
I
They,
think it's
they,
because I'm younger.
You're not that much. You're not younger than Joe. What are you talking about?
I'm not getting into that,
Yeah,
but
I
I
Well,
know
mean,
I would say mentally younger than
well,
both of you.
in
I mean, it's just a pet
Madam,
peeve
I
of
have a
mine.
Star Wars lunchbox behind me. You want to talk about mentally younger? Come
Yeah,
on.
it's
I think
definitely
you have
no.
sweaters that predate the Nixon administration.
Yeah, that and by the way, having the Star Wars
I do.
lunchbox
Yeah.
is maybe more mentally stunted.
Okay, I'll take it.
But let me say this: the prom, as we call it, involved tuxedos for the guys. You had dresses that were like a lot of sequins, a lot of puffy
Hmm.
sleeves because it's the late '80s, early '90s. Limousines for some people, that was a thing. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's as much of a thing now, but people did do that. And then a theme of some kind, not meaning like it wasn't like a theme of today where there's an actual theme, but it was a song.
Yeah.
There's some song. And that was the prom night was that's a big deal. It's still a big deal in
Did you
Hamilton
enjoy your
and
prom, Gabe?
Southern New
Did you
Jersey.
enjoy your prom, Joe? Did you guys have fun at the prom?
I went to the prom my sophomore year and I went my junior year. I did not go my senior year, and I can't for the life of me recall what the prom songs were. No idea. I can remember what I wore to each one, the different color tie and vest. I always stayed far away from cummerbunds. I always was always more of a vest man.
I
And
could see
I
that.
and I know that I believe those proms they were at the Savoy in Vineland. I also went the year after I graduated. A bunch of our friend group went, and that one I think was at Frog Rock. But Gabriel, yours at the Savoy? Do you remember where yours were?
Savoy, Marigi Savoy. And I
Yeah,
do remember the songs faithfully, junior year, Journey. And of all things, I remember you. Now tell me the band.
I know because you've told me this story 100 times.
I cannot.
What's the
I do
band,
not
Gina?
remember.
Is it Skid Row?
It's Skid Row, Joe.
I remember. Okay, all
Huh?
right.
How
Yeah,
about it?
okay, all
Okay,
right.
our prom song was "This Is the Time" to
Bill,
That's
Billy
remember.
more of a
Joel.
graduation song, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure that
Billy
this is our prom song.
It
Yeah,
seems a
Billy
little
Joel
dirgy for a
off of
prom,
the Bridge album.
but
sure.
it's a
Time to
grow.
remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, you remember yours. So there you go. I don't know. Prom, like I said, I wish all the kids out there who are out having fun to have a great time. We did have a great time at the prom. I don't
I
know.
loved getting the photos in from like our
Yeah,
Hmm.
photographers over the years and seeing how everybody was dressed. And these are kids that I've known from elementary school, and now they were all grown up in their fanciest studs. And I love seeing it. I loved when the guys got into it and they really like went for it with their vests and the ties or even their suit color to match their dates. And I will say that South Jersey has it down over everybody else when it comes to flowers. It's not a little corsage that
no.
you wear on your
No.
chest or on your arm. These are wedding size bouquets. And I was like, I need this in my life because I love flowers. And I used to pop into Our Expressions florist when Millicent Sophia was alive and watch them put those together. Oh my God, so much artistry went into that. So I love that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
And again, I don't know if that is as big a deal as we say. Time marches on. In the era you're talking about of our expressions, there might have been two other flower shops. There might have been three flower shops at any
Oh
given
yeah.
time.
there
And now
there
there,
We
were
had
you know,
Charming Blossoms, we had
so you have a couple.
Warners, we had
Yeah, I mean,
Passion, we had
there was a
Gallows,
lot of
we had different floors.
And
There
I
was a
remember as the
lot.
years went on, seemed to be little less of a call for the big bouquets that you saw early on. But I
I
think
remember
it's
Ideal Clothing having their prom dresses and having a registry so 2 girls could not wear the same dress at
yeah,
Hammonton's prom.
it's a different
Well, yeah,
era.
because that would have erupted into violence if that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Oh,
This is
It
the
would have been
Met
like a
Gala
knife fight.
event.
Yeah, yeah. It
You know,
would have
the
been a
first
knife.
Monday is May is the Met Gala, and the Friday before Mother's Day is Hammonton Prom. I live for these fashion moments. I love it.
We'll see what everyone's wearing this year. It should be fun.
Now,
yeah.
you brought up something interesting, Gabe, earlier. You asked, how do people get to prom or the prom? And for me, it was a limo. My friends and I, we all piled into a limo, and we had to meet our principal at the entryway to the hotel that it was in. And we had to shake his hand and say good evening to him because he wanted to make sure we were all sober.
That's your version of a promenade in New York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so there
Yeah.
was like, and
It was a
Sounds
pat down.
sounds a lot like a perp walk.
it was like we had a lot of kids and a lot of kids from out other schools. So there was like 350 of us who were in my senior class, and it was a senior only prom. So yeah,
Mm.
so we had to deal with all that. So that's how we dealt with it. So how did you get to your different proms, Joe?
My sophomore year, I don't remember the man who owned the car. I don't remember his name, but we were driven in a classic car, late 50s, early 60s, cherry red, white ragtop convertible, gorgeous thing. Then junior year, a bunch of us were in a limo, and then when I went the year after I graduated, I had just gotten my Jeep Cherokee maybe 3 months
Ooh,
before.
I
So
remember it.
I had that thing detailed, sparkling, spotless, and I drove my date in that. So that was the 3 proms that I went to.
Gabriel,
All class. All class. What?
how'd you get to the prom?
There were limousines involved, as I recall. We got
I
limousines.
thought you drove one year.
I may have driven one year. That's true. And that may be I think I drove perhaps my father's car one year so there's a lot of stories like that. I think of people like Joe just said, we get a car that's nice and you drive that. So that was part of it. I think some of it was just for safety, right? I think people want to go to the prom and make sure there's no problems on the highways driving
Fair.
later. So that's I think why a lot of people go in with other people and get limos and stuff like that.
So oddballs, let us know in the comments how you went to the prom. Was it limo, a fancy old car, or something else? Just let us know. Gabe, who should people in South Jersey call when they need to put up a quality fence?
Master Wire Fence, Gina. For more than 40 years, Master Wire Manufacturing Fence Company has been providing the South Jersey and tri-state area with residential and commercial fence supplies and services. Whether you're looking for quality products to do it yourself or are in need of a trustworthy fencing company to install your fence, they've got you covered. Master Wire Manufacturing Fence Company provides the highest quality products and customer service to each and every person who walks through their doors or gives them a call. Contact Master Wire at 609 567 1616 or visit their website at masterwirefence.net.
Thanks, Gabe. The Archaeological Society of New Jersey is having its quarterly meeting on Saturday, May 17th at Batstow Village. There's going to be a public portion of this meeting that includes a lecture and a walking tour. I believe the public portion of the meeting begins at noon. Joe, can you tell us why you found this listing so interesting?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's nerd out together.
One of the presentations is called Miss Lippincott at the Well, the story of a colonial medicine vial and a modern CRM lab. CRM stands for Cultural Resource Management Lab. Essentially, at some point, according to their website, at some point between the late 17th and 18th centuries, a young woman in the affluent Lippincott family in East Hampton Township sought treatment from a local druggist who supplied the bespoke medicine in a plain glass vial. Once the contents were consumed and it was of no further use to Miss Lippincott, essentially she tossed it in the family well, and completely forgot about it. An archaeologist came across it several hundred years later, and this talk is the story of Miss Lippincot's vial and its unlikely survival into the 21st century is at once remarkable and a fairly ordinary lab-side glimpse of a CRM project. Here is why that is interesting to me, because the Lippincott family in East Hampton Township started with a gentleman named Freedom Lippincott, who had moved from Shrewsbury to East Hampton. His family had come over from England. They had settled in Boston and Massachusetts, and they had moved down to New England, as a number of Quakers did. They made their way from Massachusetts to New Jersey, many of them settling in Shrewsbury. Well, Freedom Lippincott moved to East Hampton Township. And why that is fascinating to me is because Freedom Lippincott, on my father's mother's side, is my 10 times great-grandfather. And so then the Miss Lippincott in question, I am reasonably certain, is his daughter, Mary Lippincott, who married a Francis Borden, but Mary Lippincott lived from 1691 to 1759. So if this vial is from the late 17th, early 18th centuries, then this would be perfectly right within the timeline of Mary Lippincott before she married Francis Borden when she was still young Miss Lippincott. And the Lippincott family, besides producing me 10 generations later, there are some lesser known individuals in my family. I don't know if you would have heard of them or not, but just to name a few of the other descendants of Freedom Lippincott, there was some guy named George W. Bush. His mother, Barbara, was a descendant of Freedom Lippincott. Richard Nixon was a descendant. Kevin Bacon. So I'm like, I got to figure out whether or not I'm within 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but at the very least, we're related.
Right.
And my personal favorite is Sam Waterston, best known to modern audiences as Jack McCoy on Law and Order. So this is utterly fascinating to me that my 9 times great-grandmother essentially finished some Triamidic and threw it in the trash, and here we are 300 years later talking about it.
I love that your family history that far back, because I can maybe go to my great-grandparents and that's it.
The reason is because on my dad's mother's side, she was a Ford from Greenbank, and the Fords have been in New Jersey for 300 years. And then they married they had the Crowleys and the Bordens and the Lippincotts, and all of these families are listed in colonial families in the United States. They have their own pedigree, they have their own lineage. And when you go as far back as Freedom Lippincott, you're talking about one of the earliest settlers, one of the earliest Quaker settlers of New Jersey. And Freedom Lippincott actually was part of the family that started the first Friends Meeting House in New Jersey, predating even Salem. And it's interesting because he owned 1,000 acres of land down by Salem County that he bought off of John Fenwick, tying into Salem and the Salem Oak in my cemetery 300 years later. But that's a
Nerd.
yeah. But
It's settled.
that's
It's settled. We're nicknaming Joe Freedom. Freedom Berenato.
We're
What do you
taking away
think?
Coffee Joe. He's now going to be Freedom Joe.
Freedom Joe. I
maybe I'll
like it.
finally run for office under that moniker.
That's a great one. Why not?
Oh my gosh, that's cool. So anyway, this is May 17th. This is the Archaeological Society of New Jersey. Great lecture and a walking tour of Batstow. Hopefully they'll have wonderful weather to go and do this. Looking ahead, Joe, where are we in the blueberry season as a former grower? Can you give us a little insight on where we are?
I don't know that I can because the weather has been wild, absolutely wild. I haven't had the opportunity to drive past any blueberry fields yet, but I imagine we
Now you have
can't.
homework for the week.
I can't imagine we're that far away from being in full blossom.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we've got Mother's Day right around the corner, and traditionally, Mother's Day is the last time you have to worry about a frost or a freeze. I don't think the weather has been too hot and then too cold to stunt the growth. We just did have that really warm patch last week, which was unseasonably. I think on Saturday it was 90 degrees, and who needs that at the beginning of May? This is crazy. but it looks like we're probably on schedule, I'd say, for a little bit of an earlier season, beginning of June, not quite the end of May, but not, I don't think it'll last until Father's Day before they do the first round of picking.
Gabe, have you heard anything from any of your friends?
No, I have no updates on that, although I agree with Joe about the full blossom thing and obviously about the Mother's Day thing. But I think that, like anybody else, you hope every grower I know hopes for the best and plans for the worst, but you hope that Mother Nature will be on your side. So far, so good, but no, I don't have any specific intel on that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing them at the farm stands when the blueberries come into season. And I know I'll have to bring some home to New York to my mom, so I look forward to that as well. Gabe, if any growers or anybody who's having an outdoor event this season needs a outdoor porta pot, who should they call?
Demiglio Septic and Quality Sanitation, they are here for a variety of services, including a septic pump out, grease trap service, high pressure jetting, portable toilets, and more. Call 609 561 3597 or go to demiglioseptic.com for Demiglio Septic, or call 609 561 4666 for quality sanitation.
Thanks, Gabe. As a child who grew up in New York, when we would come across New Jersey to go to Pennsylvania, we spent a lot of time in Lancaster. My parents loved going there. We would cut through North Jersey, and especially on the turnpike, there are those big oil storage tanks, you know what I mean? Or I'm looking at. I was like, wow, this is New Jersey. Why do they call it the Garden State? And it wasn't until I moved down here that I really appreciated that nickname. But I did learn this week that New Jersey has the largest petroleum containment area outside of Middle East countries. I don't really understand what that factoid means, but I double checked it because I'm like, this can't be true.
Have
Oh, it is.
Have you never been on the New Jersey Turnpike?
I'm just saying, I saw it as a kid,
Yeah,
like that was
yeah,
my
I
whole
mean,
association of New Jersey. But like Middle East, I understand. New Jersey, so small compared to the Middle East countries.
But it does make sense, not just because of like the entirety of the openings of The Sopranos is driving past oil tanks, but when you consider the refineries down around Paulsboro, you've got oil refineries down there.
Do you
And
really?
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They I think some of them have closed down, but for the longest time there was a lot of petroleum going in and out near Paulsboro.
I love
So
that
it
you
makes
talk. I know where Paulsboro is.
it's down south. You go down 295 all the way down. It's maybe an hour and a half from Hammonton.
Okay.
You can smell the petroleum as you can smell Paulsboro as you get close because of the petrol. Now, granted, it has been a number
Love
of
the
years
smell
since I've
of
been down
petroleum in
there,
the morning.
but yeah, there was a lot going on down there. So it doesn't surprise me.
It's a weird
I
New Jersey fact. I will say it's an odd New Jersey fact.
Yeah, and you do keep seem to keep finding them. So good on
I,
you.
I do it for the oddballs, Joe. I do it for the oddballs.
they appreciate it, I'm sure.
Joe, if I decide to take a ride down to Paulsboro, will I enjoy the drive this week? Will there be good weather for me?
That depends on the day, but since you asked, it sounds like it is time for the Oddcast Forecast, according to the app on my smartphone, and sponsored by Ben Castone Landscaping. Call Ben Castone for all your landscaping needs at 609 561 3452. They're here to keep your yard looking great no matter what the season. And like I said, it'll really depend on the day. At the moment, and New Jersey weather, if you don't like it, wait 5 minutes. It looks like Wednesday is going to be partly cloudy to mostly cloudy, clearing towards the end of the day. A high of 74 and a low of 56. Thursday, it looks like it's going to be partly sunny in the morning with the possibility of rain later on. We're looking at
Okay.
a high of 78 and a low of 49. And then Friday, it's partly cloudy and mostly clear with a bit of a cooler temperature with a high of 62 and a low of 44. So at the very least, this week we're looking at more seasonable temperatures than we had last week. So I'm thankful for that.
Same. You do a lot of outdoor work, so I can appreciate that.
I do indeed.
Joe, if people want to get in touch with us, what should they do?
For more information or for sponsorship opportunities, they can find us on Facebook or Instagram. They can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or iHeartRadio. They can email us at jerseyoddcast@gmail.com or call us at 609 444 6178.
Thanks, Joe. I really appreciate it. This has been another fun edition of the Jersey Oddcast. So, signing off from the land of pork roll, poltergeists, and people who don't use turn signals, South Jersey forever. See you next time, Jersey Oddcast fans. Bye.